Welcome to today's video. I'm Kagan Schneider, and we are going to break down my predictions for both of the dual races tonight. Who will go home, who will stay at the racetrack to race on Sunday, as well as my predictions overall of who will win those two races and drivers you need to look out for heading into today's race, or I should say tonight's races. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We do these full race live streams with a realistic broadcast on the daily as far as NASCAR video games go. Currently starting up our 05 series, so tune in for that. This week we are doing a Speed Weeks NASCAR 05 edition, so tune in for those every single night. We'll be kicking those back off again tomorrow for the Truck Series race before the actual truck race. So thanks for everybody again tuning into today, and we are going to hop on into this predictions video. Going to take you through the front runners in both races, or at least drivers that I think are going to contend for the win, as well as my predictions on drivers that are going to make their way into the show that have to race their way in. Of course, Ryan Preece, David Ragan both qualified themselves in on time. They are each Ryan Preece running in dual race number 1, David Ragan race number 2. That leaves 3 drivers in each of the 2 races to go forth. First, we'll take a look at the starting lineup for today's dual race number 1. That will be on the right-hand side of the screen right here. So Alex Bowman on the pole. Of course, he qualified on the pole for the Daytona 500. The Chevy's really good in qualifying pretty much since the Gen 6 car released back in 2013. So I am expecting a pretty different scenario to happen next year when the next gen car comes out. I think that's when you're going to see the teams kind of level up as far as the Daytona 500 qualifying goes. But this year, Hendrick reigns supreme again, getting the entire front row with Bowman on the pole, Byron qualifying second. So Bowman will lead the field of the green in dual race number 1. Eric Almirola, super speedway specialist, will be starting in second. I think people are sleeping on him, at least going into tonight's race. I think he will be one of the contenders. I think you look as a whole in race number 1, there are a lot better super speedway drivers in this race, especially in recent years, compared to what there is in race number 2. I think race number 2, you're going to see a lot more drivers that will be in the playoffs this year, contending for wins throughout the course of the season. But as far as Speed Weeks goes, I really think the stronger lineup is in race 1. Bowman, I think, has a good chance to contend for the win if he's got that same speed that he did in qualifying. He hasn't had the success. I expect that he will drop to the back if things start to get hairy. If they start running in a train, which I expect both races to do for most of the day until the late going when drivers have to battle for positions, especially those guys trying to race themselves in, that's when you're really going to start seeing Bowman fade to the back. But I think he'll try to lead a couple laps early at least. Seeing those 2 JTG Doherty cars both starting on the inside row in the top 5, they'll link up pretty easily with one another. Stenhouse being the better super speedway racer than Ryan Preece, I think it's really going to play into effect here. I think Stenhouse is going to be one of the favorites. And then you look at Denny Hamlin starting inside of row number 4, not only starting up towards the front, he's won the last 2 Daytona 500s, going for 3 in a row. He's already kind of had a hectic Speed Weeks. He is very nervous for the opening of his Michael Jordan Racing. Again, Denny owns part ownership into that team. Not majority ownership, but part ownership, and he's basically running everything behind the scenes. I mean, by the way, he was so nervous last night during the qualifying, during his interview before Bubba Wallace took the racetrack. He's definitely nervous, so I think that playing into effect might end up costing him a chance to win his 3rd Daytona 500, but I think when he straps into the car and it's time for himself to go, the Denny Hamlin that we know to run well in the super speedways in the last handful of years is going to return. But as far as tonight goes, I don't know if that will be the case. Again, the 3 favorites, Almirola, Stenhouse, and Hamlin, and they all start in the top 7. They're going to be tough to beat. The slight edge, I think, kind of goes to Stenhouse. He's got not only his teammate Ryan Preece starting right behind him, but he's got his teammate Ryan Preece in the race. And the fact that those 2 are together alone right there should reign supreme. Denny Hamlin's got 1 teammate in this race as I'm looking at the lineup right now, and that 1 teammate, if we look down the list, is Christopher Bell, who starts 4th. So I guess Bell and Hamlin could link together pretty well. There's not a lot of Toyotas in the field necessarily as well. There are mostly Chevys in race number 1. Even you look at Almirola, he does have 1 teammate of Cole Custer back there, but the only other Fords that kind of pop out are in 5 and 6 that will compete at least on speed today, and that will be DiBenedetto, Cindric, Logano, and Newman. I think the Chevys are overmatched, at least at the front of the field. Daniel Suarez looked really fast in qualifying, too. Remember, he's driving a Chevy as well. Kyle Larson is starting up there in 8th. He's got a Hendrick Chevrolet. Bowman, I think, will drop to the back if things get hairy, but I expect him to lead laps at least early on. So Chevy should link together. We've seen the manufacturers try to work together. And my pick is going to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I think Stenhouse will win dual race number 1. Help from his teammate Priest along the way, and Stenhouse is going to lead that charge because he wants to win anything, especially when it's on a super speedway when he's got a great chance to run. So my prediction is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to win the dual race number 1. Now we hop into dual race number 2. William Byron, again, he qualified outside pole, so he'll be leading the field to the green in dual race number 2. I think, again, as far as drivers that are going to contend for the playoffs or maybe make the playoffs, this is where the field is stacked. But I think as far as the super speedway specialists, it's going to be a little bit more intriguing in race 1 for me. I am a Ryan Blaney fan. He is in this race as well, and he is one of those great super speedway drivers over the last couple of years. He is starting inside the top 10. I think Blaney's going to be a guy to look out for. I think Bubba Wallace is going to be a guy to look out for. Very underrated on the super speedways. He seems to find himself towards the front late in the race, if not taking himself out. Between Blaney and Bubba together, they have had 3 runner-up finishes in the last 5 Daytona 500. So look out for both of those two to actually work together in today's race, because Blaney's starting with only one other teammate in the field, and that's Brad Keselowski. And I don't know what to think about Brad. He has been good on the super speedways in the past, but I think since this package debuted in the Talladega Spring 2019 race, Keselowski has not had the same success as what he had in the earlier Gen 6 days when the car was released, and he was winning at Talladega a bunch and winning the July race, at least at Daytona, a bunch. He has never won a Daytona 500. I don't look for him to really run well. David Reagan is another guy to look out for. Reagan has been a super speedway specialist. That Front Row Motorsports car has speed because they qualified on time to make the 500 because they came into the week not even knowing if they were going to have a spot in the Daytona 500. So for David Reagan, I expect him to run pretty well today. There are more Fords in the second race that he can maybe work with. His teammate Anthony Alfredo is also in the field, but starting a little bit further back. I don't know. My heart says Blaney, and I try to keep my heart out of it when I make these predictions, but I really do think him and Bubba Wallace are going to be the guys to beat. I think Byron, much like Bowman in the first race, is going to drop to the back if things start to get hairier. I think there's a lot more aggressive drivers in race 1, so I think this will be the calmer of the 2 races if any of them are going to be calm at all. I do think you'll see some sort of train racing in both, with it being half of a normal field. A lot on the line for guys, starting position wise, especially those guys trying to race their way in until those last 20 laps hit. I think that's when you're really going to start to see things transpire, but I think it'll be a calm first 30 to 40 laps in both races. My prediction for race number 2 is a little bit trickier. Again, I lean towards Blaney or Wallace. I really think David Reagan's got a good shot at a top 5 here as well. I'm probably going to lean towards Ryan Blaney. He has won 2 dual races in the past, so he has won 2 dual races at Daytona. I'm going to go Ryan Blaney to win his 3rd dual race and win here tonight. Now my predictions on who will get bumped from the 500, who will make it. We go back to race number 1. Austin Cindric is going to be starting 10th. He's got a lot better track position for the start of the race than what Ty Dillon and Timmy Hill, the guys he's racing against. I don't think Ty Dillon is going to have much speed. We saw Daniel Suarez in that car miss the 500 last year. I think that's going to be similar speed to what they're running this year. Plus, they're running part-time schedule, so they're not even running the full season. I think Suarez is a better driver than Ty Dillon, so a lot of contributing factors into that. I think Dillon's got the odds stacked against him. Same goes for Timmy Hill. I really don't even know if either one of those two are going to have enough speed to hang with Cindric, because honestly, you look at the guys starting at the back, you got the Rick Ware cars of Josh Bilicki, Cody Ware, Quinn Howe for Starcom, then the MBM car of Timmy Hill, and I think McMurray can hang with the front 8 rows on the start, but I look at Ty Dillon and then those last 2 rows in the starting position to honestly be in a pack of themselves and not be able to really even keep up with those front guys unless we get a late race caution. And we could see that if things transpire ahead with the drivers racing up there. So I pretty much think that Austin Cindric's got race 1 on lock. Now race 2, as far as the race to get into the 500, is a little bit different. we go back to race 2. We got Kaz Grala starting 10th, much like Cindric is in race 1. And he's got 2 cars that are lesser programs running further back in the pack. So similar to race 1, where you have one of them in the top 10 for the start and then the other 2 at the rear. Now, Gragson's at the rear because he did not make a lap in qualifying yesterday. They failed inspection before the qualifying lap 3 times, so he was not allowed to qualify by NASCAR rules. So, with him not qualifying, he's got to start last in the field. That is going to cost him if this race runs caution-free, which I think it's got a good opportunity to run caution-free. Because you look at the guys, much like in race 1 at the back, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up in a pack. I think you look at Corey LaJoie, Garrett Smithy, BJ McLeod, Joey Gage, Derek Cope, all running in a pack back there. And Gragson, I think on speed and on paper, that team should be able to keep up with the front pack. We've seen Brendan Gaughan run really good in that car in the super speedways the last couple of years with this said package. But the problem is he's starting behind those guys. He needs to get through those guys in the first couple laps before the packs start to break into 2 between the faster cars and the slower cars. So Gragson needs to get on his horse from the very start. I think you're going to see him be very aggressive in the opening couple laps, trying to get to, say, Chris Buescher or Anthony Alfredo in that tail end of the lead cars that I think are going to run away from those back 4. So if Gragson can get up to there, I look for Noah Gragson to make the race. But honestly, if Kaz Grala's already got the track position, we've seen Colleague Racing run really well in the Xfinity Series. So I think Kaz Grala is going to get this final spot. I really want Gragson to make it into the show, both for him and for that team. Of course, Mr. Beard passed away last week, so it'd be a great achievement just for them to make the 500 with this tough entry list and drivers missing out. But I don't know if that track position is going to allow Gragson to do it off the start. So that is where you're going to see that come into play, especially. So I'm going to look for Kaz Grala and Austin Cindric to race their way in here tonight. And again, my dual race winners are Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in race 1 and Ryan Blaney in race 2. Thanks for everybody tuning in here today. Like, share, and again, most importantly, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Also, you can enter in our fantasy league where we will have prizes weekly. The prizes include, if you win at the end of that week, you get to come on the show, voice your predictions for the following race weekend. We'll try to find a way to meet up on email if you, again, win that week. So that will be on a weekly rotation after the Daytona 500. So starting with the second race of the year next week, when they go to the Daytona road course, we'll start doing that. And there is a season end prize as well, where if you win the league at the end of the regular season and playoffs, there's 2 separate leagues, so it'll restart when the playoffs start. But at least for the first 26 races, if you win the league, I will buy you 2 tickets to any race of your choosing, NASCAR race that is, Cup race that is, of your choosing. And I will go down there with you. If you are under the age of 18, you do need a parent or adult supervision with you at that time, as well as communicating with me as far as tickets go at the end of the season. So that is the grand prize for that. Hope to get as many entries as we can. We do have a handful of entries already, so make sure you do that because the Daytona 500 is this Sunday. Thanks for everybody tuning in, and I will see you guys for post-race analysis probably tomorrow morning, with it likely going to be a late night. I'll probably stay up and edit it, but by the time it uploads, plan on that being out tomorrow morning. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you then.